Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak, Kodash. Double honors to the Apostle Elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the whole Select. In this lesson, I want to go over this article that I found on End Time Headlines. It says, Russia just rehearsed its ability to deliver a massive nuclear strike. Right? And this is not the first time that Russia and these other nations have rehearsed using nuclear missiles, using their nuclear armaments, right? And the reason why they're doing this is because they're getting prepared for World War III, right? And if you have eyes and ears eyes to see and ears to hear, you'll know what I'm talking about. Because you have to think about it like this: if you get a weapon, or if you get a weapon, let's just use that, right? You don't get a weapon. Now, I'm not condoning getting a weapon, but I'm just saying, if you were to get a weapon like a gun, you don't get the gun in hopes, you get the gun in hopes that, hey, nothing will happen and things like that, right? I hope nobody don't try to rob me, stick me up, or anything like that. But in case that something does happen, you have the gun there. You have the gun in case if somebody does try to be stupid. Hey, if someone does try to stick me up or rob me or something like that, I have something to defend myself, right? And that's the same thing with Russia and these other nations. Like it says in Joel, the 3rd chapter, let the weak say now that I'm strong. Why? Because now they have stuff or weapons to now be able to defend themselves, or to be able to go toe to toe with America. Now they're able to sit there and say, hey, you can no longer bully us. Why? Because we have weapons that I can defend myself now with. So if you try anything, I'm ready to use this, right? And we know according to the scriptures that what? These tests and things like that are not just for nothing. These tests are for what? Eventually they're going to be used. This is why it says Russia just rehearsed its ability to deliver a massive nuclear strike. Why? Why would you do these things? Why would you test in the event of, as it's going to say in the article, let me read it. It says Russia has rehearsed its ability to deliver a massive nuclear strike. Why would you do that? Let's continue. The Kremlin says the military exercise involved delivering a response to an emergency nuclear strike. So they did this this exercise in a response that if they get hit with nukes, hey, we can send something back off and we could devastate something. Why would you do this? You have to think about this. Like, what is Russia seeing, or what is Russia hearing or know that, hey, we might be an imminent threat, we might be in imminent danger. So let's run some tests just in case. Let's run some drills. So in case anything happens, we know how to respond. It's the same thing like lately at my job, security. We've been doing fire drill tests and things like that. Why are we doing that? To keep everybody sharp, to keep everybody on point, so people know what to say, people know what to do, people know what to act in the time if it is an actual fire. Hey, everybody knows what they need to do. Everybody doesn't know. Everybody's not like chickens with their heads cut off, not knowing what to do. Hey, if you hear the fire alarm go off, you need to check the station. You need to, let everybody know what's going on. You need to acknowledge. Then you need to find out what's going on upstairs. Then you need to make the announcement, things like that, so on and so forth, right? It's the same thing with these drills. Hey, in the event that something does happen, we need to have a plan to be able to counteract, instead of not just we just have these tools or these weapons of mass destruction, but we don't know how to use them or anything, or we just don't know what to do with them, right? It's the same thing with the gun. You don't just get a gun. You got to be trained on how to use it as well. So that's what these drills are for. In the event that somebody tries to attack us and act stupid, we know how to combat them. We have a plan of a strategy or a plan of attack or a counterattack. It says the military exercise involved delivering a response to an enemy nuclear strike. So you got to think about this. They're doing these things because they feel threatened that, hey, something can happen. So again, in the event that something does happen, we know how to respond, right? They wouldn't be doing this unless they feel something, or they're seeing something, or they know something. They have some type of intel that allows them back, hey, again, Salaki for repeating myself, but in the event that something happens, we know how to respond and we're just not caught off guard. Defense Minister Sergey, I'm going to just say Sergey because I don't know how to say our last name, said. It says state TV showed him recounting the rehearsal to President Vladimir Putin. It comes as Russia's parliament backed the withdrawal of Moscow's ratification of a global treaty that bans all physical testing of nuclear warheads. Russia and the United States conduct regular nuclear readiness simulations. Moscow has traditionally held its own towards the end of October. So this is something that America and Russia have done, as it says, has conducted regular. So meaning that what? They do this on a regular. Now, this is my other analogy. Think of it like this. Boxing, right? I'm going to try to break this down the best I can. You're not training for no reason. If you're a boxer, you're training for what? To prepare for a fight. Because, eventually they're going to set you up with a fight, maybe for a championship or whatever, or just a regular match to build yourself up so you can fight for the championship. But when you're training, you're not training for no reason. You're training for something, for a fight and, obviously a championship. So again, with these drills as well, these drills are not for no reason. These drills are preparing for something potentially to happen, which is what? Nuclear war, which is written of in the scriptures. Let's start with Isaiah 9 and 5. This is Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5. It says, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood." Right. Back in the ancient world, how did men fight? They would fight with swords. They went head to head with each other, the swords clashing, the ting ting and all that. And men would stab each other in the gut, things like that. Right. They'd have their armor, the helmets, the breastplates, and things like that. Right. That's how men fought in the ancient world. But now, obviously, we have what? We have nuclear missiles. We have, drone strikes, things like that. So this is the, not to copy the video game, but this is modern warfare now, right? So this is how men go to war now. Drone strikes or unmanned drones, drones that are not that are unmanned, and they could drop a whole bunch of missiles on the area and things like that. But the focus here is really on the nuclear missiles, right? So, again, for every battle of the warriors with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. That's how men fought in the ancient world, right? But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So what? This war that's coming up, this third world war, is going to be what? With burning and fuel of fire. Now, what has fuel? Those nuclear missiles, right? So this is what's written of in the scriptures. The scriptures talk about nuclear war. Right. So going back to I'll get some other precepts as well. Stupid odd. So it says again, Russia and the United States conduct regular nuclear readiness simulations. Why? Because again, going back to the analogy of a boxer, you're getting prepared for a fight, right? And you keep training and training so that way when you get into that ring, you're able to knock the person out. This is why Russia and the United States are, as it says here, conduct regular nuclear readiness simulations. Why? Because they're getting ready for the prize fight. Because eventually, like it says in the scriptures, that Russia is going to shoot nukes over here in America, right? Along with those other nations. It says the exercises this year involved delivering a massive nuclear strike by strategic offensive forces in response to an enemy nuclear strike. So, again, preparing themselves for, hey, if somebody shoots a nuke over here, we know how to respond. We have a game plan. We have a strategy to counterattack, right? We know how to use our weapons that we have created. Let's go to eyes. I don't have to do. I could just do this. Mm, yeah, let's start from the top. So this is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 1. It says, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Now, when speaking about Babylon, it's not speaking about ancient Babylon, it's speaking about prophetic Babylon, which is America. This is, as it's written of in Revelation, mystery Babylon, or Babylon the Great. That is America, the land that you're living in right now. It says, lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. The high mountain would be America. That would be that exalted mountain, or that exalted government, right? And the banner would be the truth, right? It says, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. When it says exalt the voice unto them, it's when we go out there on the highways and byways, or like right now what I'm doing with this video. This is exalting the voice unto them. We're telling them that your kingdom is going to be destroyed. We're telling them about the prophecies. I believe that's Jeremiah, was that 28:9 or 28:8. The prophets that have been before me and of old have prophesied of war, pestilence, and of kingdoms going down, roughly paraphrasing that. So that's what we're telling them. Like it says, that they may go into the gates of the nobles, the higher ups, which would be the elites. It says, I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones from mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. We are the sanctified ones, and the mighty ones would be the angels. Now, this is the point that I want to get right here in verse 4. It says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people. Right? So what's that noise of a multitude in the mountains? That's the missiles. Because it says, look, like as of a great people. Imagine an army of, like, let's say 10,000 men coming to destroy a city. And, you know, men is on the horses, and you hear, like, I'm going to do this, so hopefully you can hear this. So you hear that, but imagine, magnify that 10 times 10,000 men, each man on a horse, 10,000. You're hearing that, and you're hearing the vibration, or you're hearing the sound of that coming towards you, right? And you're hearing men going, screaming and charging at the city, "Ah!" and all that type of stuff, right? So that's why it says it's likening the missiles coming over here, like as of a great people. It's gonna sound like it's men coming to war. It's gonna sound like, again, like I gave the example of men on horses, and you hear. But imagine you hear 10,000 of that, with men screaming as well. And you hear the, I guess you could say, the reverberation of, when the horses are doing this and it hits the ground, all that, how it makes it sound even louder and like more deep and things like that. If I was able to, like, maybe play a video of like a movie or something, I would do that just to give a better example, right? But it says, the noise of a multitude in the mountain, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts, the Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. So again, going into that, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people. The missiles are being likened unto a great people coming to attack a land. I believe that's also written of in Joel, the 2nd chapter. It says they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. So what Isaiah is saying here is that what? There are weapons of the Lord's indignation that are going to destroy the whole land. Did that happen to ancient Babylon? Was ancient Babylon taken by the weapons of the Lord's indignation? No, the Persians came through and pretty much like a sneak attack and took down the Babylonians when they was enjoying, themselves, feasting and things like that. You can read Daniel the 5th chapter and all that, right? To get that history and to know that. Or you can just Google it, right? Very simple. That's how the Babylonians were taken down. There was no weapons of the Lord's indignation to destroy the whole land. Where Babylon today is what's called Iraq, and there's people living in Iraq. Because when you go through the rest of this chapter, it talks about how nobody would live there. The Cormorant and the Bittern would live here, the owl, the satyrs, and things like that. If you look at Iraq, Iraq still has people over there. There are no owls dwelling in the land, just owls and desert creatures and things like that. No, there are people dwelling in the land of Iraq, right? So again, this would go into what? Prophetic Babylon, which would be America. And that could only be believed upon by faith. Because if people are going to say, how can America be Babylon, things like that. Excuse me, apologies about that. That's something that you have to believe on, based upon faith. Babylon also means confusion. I don't think you need to see how this place is confusion. There are men that want to be something else that they're not, and there are women that want to be something else that they're not. There are people that are identified as animals. There are people who want to, or men, I should say, who chop off their private members. There are women that add members to themselves. So you can see how this place would be the land of confusion. All right. Also, I believe it's written of in Revelation. Uh, the This place is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. I don't have to explain why this place is Sodom and Egypt, because this is our land of our captivity. Right. Right. So again, reading verse 5 again, says, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation, because that's what the nuclear missiles are. They were created to destroy this land. They are the weapons of the Lord's indignation to destroy the whole land. What land? America. This is why these nations have been testing, and America as well, as we read in the article, have been testing their nuclear missiles. They've been running simulations and things like that. What happens if somebody does this? How do we respond and things like that? Why? Because they know that eventually it's going to lead to war, because you don't have these things here for no reason. Again, like I gave with the analogy with the gun. Yes, you're hoping that nobody does nothing stupid, but you have it there in case that somebody does do something stupid. I can defend myself. I can protect myself. Right? Matter of fact, that's what these nations have done. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. And that's what we're doing. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. And that's what we tell these nations, that look, you're being prepared. All this stuff that you're doing, as it's going to, let me read verse 10, then let me make my point. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. So all this stuff that you're doing with, now what? It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks. Plowshares and pruning hooks are tools used for agriculture. So at one point, these nations, Slakia, at one point, these nations were building up their society, right? Again, thinking about it, in ancient times, what? People would use these to build up, to deal with the agriculture of their land and build up their farmland, things like that. They wouldn't use anything as far as security and things like that, right? But now, when you take your pruning hooks or your plowshares and your pruning hooks and you make them into weapons, now you're thinking, what? Okay, I have land, I have things and resources. I need to protect that. I have a land in a country that I also need to protect. I need to invest in security. So now I need to take these uh, the money and things like that that I've invested into agriculture, and now move that into security, to now where I can now secure my land, secure myself, and secure my country. So now let's start building up weapons. Let's start building up an army and things like that, so that way we can protect our country and things like that, right? And that's what these nations have done. They have built up armies, right? They have built up these nuclear missiles to be what? To be able to defend themselves and protect themselves. But it's not for no reason. It's all for war. So let's read verse 9 and 10 again. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. And that's what we do. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And that's what we're telling you, that you nations that have been building these nuclear weapons and all that, you haven't been building them up for nothing. You're preparing to go to war. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. And now these other nations, now that they have nuclear capabilities, now they don't feel the need to, now they feel like what? They are able to compete with America. Why? Because they have the same thing that America has, and even better. Russia has like the Satan bomb, I think it's called the Sarmat 2 and things like that, right? I think they also have the Vanguard. So what? They are now able to compete and go against America. At one point, America had the nukes and they were bullying these other nations. Hey, you mess with us, we'll drop a nuke on you and end everything. All right, you got it, we'll fall back. Now these nations, again, like I said, they've taken away from agriculture. They've taken away from building up their nation, like maybe building up their society, building up, fancy restaurants, whatever have you. And now saying, listen, you see what America's doing over there? We need to get on that level. We need to start taking money now. Forget building up fancy malls and fancy this and that and cars. No. Take some of that money and now let's slack it for the noise outside. Let's take some of this money, put it to the side, and let's get some of these men and start, hey, we need you guys to start working on nuclear missiles. You see what America has over there? We need you to make the same thing, if not better. We also need to get some of our young men. We need to build them up so we can have an army and things like that. Because we cannot get caught off guard. Because if anything, they can wipe us out. And we do not want that. Right? So that's what it means. Beat your plowshares and the swords and your pruning hooks and the spears. It's not just the nuclear missiles. It's also the armies as well. We need men. We need strong men to be able to go to war. So we're no longer putting, or at least we're not putting all that money into, goddamn, the time I choose to do this video. But oh well. We're not putting all our money and investing into building up our nation agriculturally, again, building up malls and things like that. No, we're building up for the security of our nation, for the security of our country. And that's what these other nations have done. But it's for the purpose of the Lord for them to go to war. Let me see. Let's read a little bit of this. It says, a Kremlin statement said that practical launches of ballistic and cruise missiles had taken place. A YARS, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, a YARS intercontinental ballistic missile was fired from and when you go into intercontinental ballistic missile, they're able to go from one continent to the next. Why would they build something that is able to go from one continent to the next? Because in the case of, hey, they shoot off something over here, and when I say they, I'm talking about America shoots off anything over here, we're able to shoot something back over there. That's why they're having their tests. They shoot something at us. Okay, we're able to contact. Okay, we can get you back as well. Intercontinental, we're able to shoot something back at you as well. We're able to counteract. Hey, somebody throws a jab, I can counter back with another jab. A YARS intercontinental ballistic missile was fired from a test site in Russia's Far East, and another missile was fired from a nuclear-powered submarine in the Barents Sea, the statement said. The Defense Ministry released footage of the tests. Earlier this month, Mr. Putin said Russia had held a final successful test of a nuclear-powered cruise missile. The experimental weapon, first announced in 2018, was hailed as having a potentially unlimited range, right? As it said in, I believe, Isaiah 13, they come from a far country, right? They're coming from the ends of the world. They're coming from the other side of the world. It says was hailed as having a potentially unlimited range, but President Putin's account has not been independently confirmed. The latest test will be seen as a display of force that coincides with Moscow de-ratifying an international nuclear test ban treaty. Parliament completed the passage of a law that withdraws Russia's ratification of the treaty on Wednesday. Okay, that would be the end of that. What's the next precept I want? I don't got a lot of precepts here, but again, the main point is to show you that what these tests that they're doing is not for no reason, and to bring out scriptures that show that that nuclear war is imminent. Scriptures talk about nuclear war. Like it said in Isaiah 9:5, for every battle of the war is with garments rolled in blood and confused noise, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. That's what this third world war is all about. It's going to be by nuclear missiles. Matter of fact, I believe I know there's one in Revelation I'm thinking of. I think it's Revelation 9, but I'm also thinking of Peter, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's Peter, 2 Peter 3. Okay, it is, but where should I start? Mm. All right, we'll start here. This is Second Peter chapter 3, verse 3. It says, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers walking after their own lusts, and saying, where's the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. So you're going to have scoffers in the last days that's going to say, hey, in our time now, you guys have been saying this is going to happen. You guys have been saying that's going to happen. Remember, these people's eyes are closed. So they don't see like what we see going into these articles that, hey, Russia's, like it said in the article, has been testing their nuclear missiles on a regular. And America, you don't test stuff for no reason. But these guys, because their eyes have been closed, they don't see that. So they think, you guys have been saying this for a minute now. You guys have said this. You guys have said that. And ain't nothing happened. But like the scriptures say, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. So it shall catch them as a thief in the night. Right? Verse 5, it says, for this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of the Most High the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. So he's reiterating, going back to the time of Noah, how the Lord destroyed, the Heavenly Father destroyed the earth by fire. Now, not the earth, but the land and everything like that. That's why we have what you call Pangea. If you take all the continents and put them together, they fit like a puzzle, right? So the Lord flooded the earth, and what? Only 8 souls lived: Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives, right? And that's how the Lord got rid of the violence and the wickedness and the evil that was upon the earth. But now, as it says, and let me read verse 6 and then we'll read 7 again. So it says, verse 6 says, whereby the world that then was, right, being overflowed with water, perished, right? So we're talking about the flood. Verse 7, but the heavens and the earth, which are now, which is our time, by the same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. So the Heavenly Father is going to bring what? Fire. That's going to be the judgment this time. But the Heavenly Father is not just going to drop fire from the heavens and things like that. No. How it's going to be done this time is, again, with burning and fuel of fire, about those nuclear missiles. That's how the Heavenly Father is going to bring the judgment upon America. Now, we're going to drop to verse 10. So we're going to draw verse 10. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, when people are not expecting it, right? A thief comes in the night. Why? Because you're going to be sleeping. You're going to be caught lacking. And that's how some people are going to be caught. All right. That's why Paul talks about, I believe in Thessalonians, talks, we are children of the day, we are not of the night. So it says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, which that great noise is what? Those nuclear missiles. Boom. But it's not going to be just one boom. It's going to be 200 million booms hitting America. I'll get that precept and end it off in, I believe that's Revelation 9. And the elements shall melt away with fervent heat. The earth also and the works therein shall be, and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. So it talks about the elements being melted with fervent heat. And that heat is coming from what? Those nuclear missiles, right? Verse 11, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holiness and conversation? Right. So seeing that what? Eventually the Lord is going to destroy this place by nuclear fire. And I believe it's written of in the scriptures as well, how the same way the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, he's going to destroy Babylon the Great. So what? Babylon the Great, which is America, Sodom and Gomorrah was taken out by fire, right? By using the angels. The Heavenly Father sent the angels to bring down fire. So America is also going to be taken out by fire, but it's not going to be fire from the heavens. It's going to be the nuclear missiles that's going to come from from the heavens, right? They're going to be shot into the sky and come down, and they're going to burn up America. Let me get Revelation 9. Here we go. This is Revelation. This is also John got a vision of the nuclear missiles as well. This is John who was banished to the island of Patmos. They call him John the Revelator. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 16. It says, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. So John is pretty much saying the same thing like Joel, because Joel likened them unto horsemen as well, right? So I'll read that again. It says, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, right? And and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, right? And out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone, right? Because if you look at a nuclear missile, the like it says, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke. Because if you look at a missile, the front of the tip of the missile has what, the warhead, and that's what's really going to do hurt, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, it says that right here. Let me continue. Verse 18, it says, by these was the third part of men killed. The third part of men is the Edomites, right? You have the three classifications of men: the sons of God, the sons of wicked, and the sons of men. But you're also going to have Israelites partake in that as well, right? It says, by these was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone, which is issued out of their mouths. Right. Looking at a nuclear missile. Matter of fact, let's get an illustration. Oh, not the candy, brother. Uh, mm, Not seeing the good ones here. Let me go back up. Let me see. Give me a second. I remember seeing one picture here, but let me see this. Oh, boom, perfect. There we go. And it even says what Russia's nuclear escalation means. But if you see right there, see what it says about the heads? That's the heads of the nuclear missile. That's what John saw, right? And you see where the warheads are, the orange cones right there. Let's go back to, let's read John again. I'm sorry, Revelation. Right, so let's read verse 17 again. It says, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Out of the head of that nuclear missile, which literally the warheads has the instruments that's going to bring on the fire, right? See, the missile itself is what shoots it out, but at the front, the head itself is what has the warheads that's going to do hurt, as it says if we continue reading. Verse 18, it says, by these was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths, right? The head of the nuclear warhead, right? Hence, again, the warheads. Says, for their power is in their mouth. For their power, verse 19 says, for their power is in their mouth and in their tails, right? Because if you go to the tail of the nuclear missile, what the propulsion is what pushes the nuclear missile forward, right? So the power is in their tails to what? Shoot it off so it can go to where it's supposed to go. But then what does the hurt is the warheads. So it says, for their power is in their mouth, which which is where the warheads are at, and in their tails, which is the propulsion, if I'm not mistaken, is what shoots the missile off. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt, which is the warheads, right? When they drop, they're going to destroy people. Again, by these was a third part of men killed. So it's all here in the scriptures that talk about what? The nuclear missiles. And this is about the best picture I could find, so I apologize. But again, going back into what? The heads is what? Where the warheads would be. And then what? The tail, when it shot off, John likened it unto looking like a serpent, because that's how sometimes when you look at those warheads, when the trail, the smoke that they leave in the sky, it looks like a serpent. If you ever seen like a serpent when it's slithering on the ground, how it's all squiggly and things like that, that's how the smoke looks like. I believe that was it on the article. But yeah, just again, like always, keep an eye on these articles and things like that, because as scriptures say, our salvation is nearer than when we believe. But before anything happens, before World War III, really gets going, the implementation of that small device, the MOTB, I almost said the R, continue, but the MOTB must be brought forth. When that's brought forth, that's when things are really going to start kicking up, because that's literally all we need to come out, and that for that to be mandated and made mandatory to take. And once that happens, the nuclear missiles is the judgment for those who take that. Matter of fact, let's get that. We'll end on there. All right. This is Revelation chapter 14 and 9. It says, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand," and that mark is the MOTB, a small device that they want to put whether in your right hand or on your forehead, but it doesn't matter, because as you can see here, Revelation 14, it just, if you receive it, take it, it doesn't matter. It could be in your left hand, brothers say your butt cheek, it doesn't matter. So long as you take it, receive it, this is what's going to happen to you. As it says, they're doomed for worshippers of the beast. It says, verse 10, "The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name." So those who take the MOTB are going to get the judgment of the nuclear fire. That's why the World War III cannot happen before the MOTB comes out, because the MOTB must come out first, and those who take it must receive the judgment. The nuclear missiles is the judgment for taking that. So therefore, the MOTB has to come out first, then World War III can happen, and then the nuclear missiles, and then the judgment. So pray that this video was edifying. Apologize for making it a lot longer than it probably needed to be, but just want to be thorough. Again, I pray that this video is edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak, Qudash. Double honors to our apostle, Elders Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom.